Hello to everybody. Thank you for joining us for this long DIH session. My intention today is to give you an overview of the work that we have performed in a preparatory action that just finished called AI DIH Network. In this one, we were part of a very small consortium, Innovalia Association and CARSA, and this preparatory action was led by PwC. And so I don't have a lot of time, so I'll give you at least the ideas of the objectives that we had, what an AI DIH is, what are the potential capacities and the potential of working in a network that really differentiates DIHs from any other type of entity. So our aim was first to create and develop a cooperation approach. We know that AI DIHs exist, but the way they were collaborating, the potential of collaboration was not clearly totally identified. So we wanted to motivate hubs to understand what other ways of working they had for their own benefits, but also for the benefits of the SMEs and companies they were working for. So let's say different types of collaboration outside the typical R&D projects or international exchange of students or things like that. So we follow these objectives. So as you see here, we created a structure of cooperation. We help those DIHs to understand this new framework. We also motivated them to see if they would like to follow up on this type of interaction that is different to what they have been working on. And we came out with the blueprint for this cross-border collaboration among DIHs. So okay. The project had different phases. So firstly, we launched an open call for hubs, where the main aspect that we asked them to comply with was to be already in this JRC catalog of hubs. We had 30 hubs from nearly entire Europe with a very diverse, let's say, structure, diverse situation in many different ways. So some were more mature than others, some were working for different sectors than others, some were coming from different, the hubs were formed from different entities. So that made the capacities and also the interaction very fruitful. So we tried also to leverage the level of them so that they all could have you know, some type of mentoring throughout the process. So we did this mentoring program. We made some collaboration framework where they could identify new potential of collaboration, new problems that they were facing, restrictions, issues that were limiting them for moving onwards on this type of collaboration. And then we came out with new ideas of collaboration, new ways of creating a framework of collaboration for hubs, and in this case for AI hubs. Okay, as we've said, all those hubs had something in common. Well, two things in common. All of them are from Europe, and all of them are working technologically in AI. This doesn't mean they're all working for the same sectors, as I've said before, but this made all of them at least having some technical cooperation capacity. Some were working in different types of fields within AI because we were covering a very broad scope. And we here see the main areas and disciplines within AI from the hubs that we had in the network. So those were machine learning, reasoning and decision making, and robotics. So those were also identified as the key areas, technological areas, where those hubs could have more potential collaboration among them. Then we had the famous service offering that also Carmen mentioned before, which are have been framed and picture from the Commission. So as you all already know by now, hubs should be providing different types of services covering test before invest, mainly for SMEs and other type of companies, but intentionally for SMEs, to help those companies support and find investments for R&D or for also acquiring new technology, creating this ecosystem for interaction with other companies or with other entities in the innovation ecosystem, and also to provide them both ways. So training and skills, help them workers speed up the process of acquiring new technology, and also providing services to other hubs. So all these services are easily identifiable for for companies, but they're also suitable to be cooperated or to be done simultaneously by two hubs in common, or to be let's say feed by one hub which is more mature in a certain aspect of these services to another hub. So here you see a more descaled area on the competence and skills. This was probably clear for hubs, because hubs usually in the network that we were having had a very reinforced skill area, and they were used to provide training and knowledge and competences on a transversal way to different entities, also within the different companies working with the hub. So here we see some of those. Again, as we've seen, in order to collaborate among different hubs, we had to identify within those hubs which of those competencies were identifiable, so that they could be shared or improved with others that had similar or other levels of development that they could benefit from. So here you see some of these transversal competences as well as the skills. Throughout the process, we followed this methodological approach, where we try to, as I've said, identify this cooperation opportunity, look for different scenarios, because although you find the opportunities of collaboration, there are many, so to say, environmental issues that could be the country where they're working in, the entities involved, the type of service that they want to provide to, which type of entity they're giving this service to, legal aspects, apart from the, let's say, the more technological or needs identified. But all this needs to be taken on account. Of course, cost is always a driver or a limitation that had also to be not only identified but also measured and weighed, so that each partner could also identify to what extent they're going to spend or put some of their efforts there, and also in case those services will be paid by a company, how they will be paid, and shared cost, or let's say shared benefits among the partners involved. We're here talking about the approach of services of cooperation, cross-border cooperation of different hubs that are giving potential services to others or working among others. As said, risk and tools and schemes of cooperation need to be also developed, especially now, as you know, with this situation of the COVID, that all these trips and all these traditional ways of working have to be lead to a more, well, as we're doing up today, to a more, let's say, website driven collaboration. So we found these different scenarios of collaboration that we try to standardize to help identify within this where they could find more benefit, where they would like to get this collaboration, but they fear because they see it more difficult, because we saw that sometimes some of those collaboration are more easy to identify because they're more likely to see less problems or limitations, but other might be very interesting and very rewarding, but a lot of problems are seeing or are identified easily, and therefore they're not so attractive to go further ahead. So we saw these different aspects. So partnerships among hubs to provide a service together, the development that is of services already established among their hubs that they want to, let's say, complement, the option of developing a new service from those hubs, and also the matchmaking. So we've seen also that there's a huge potential of merging or feeding or synergies among matchmaking, not only of the hubs, but also of the different potential clients of those hubs, and also of getting to know how their hub can be enhanced by others, and how their local, let's say, stop shop that we all know as the hub could be not only enriching them with what they have, but also enriching them with the potential collaborations that this hub has. So let's say in the future, once those networks are more established, your hub would only not be valued by their capacities, but also by their capacity to provide you what others have that might not be locally achievable. So as you see, we have these different, I don't know if I'm talking too much already, but we have these different interactions because we saw that not only it could be one hub, but one hub with another hub, 3 hubs together. There's a lot of interaction potential and a lot of benefits that could bring up with. Sometimes we saw some of the restrictions, the higher restrictions usually being related to money, legal aspects, IPR, and things like that. Also, some entities within the hub sometimes have restrictions to provide some services to certain entities. But in general, we saw that there's a huge way of working together in new areas that had not been covered before, especially because R&D projects are usually like the comfort zones for most of us, because we have these consortium agreements that are established. We all know how it works, and we'll also know how to, let's say, cover the risk among ourselves. So here we saw, of course, the trust and the capacities of matching could be sometimes for some of those other services the first starting point for getting to know each other. So I'll finish with a bit of a wrap up of what we saw. The assessment of the collaboration pilot as seen. We created this collaboration agreement, also a draft of a privacy statement. We did a final survey, also this methodology that I briefly mentioned to you, but for you also to have an idea of how we made it and what the outcomes were. And also we helped clearing up what those solutions for some of the technical deployments were, and other aspects, as you can see here, such as the benchmarking model or sharing data model, etc. Some of the lessons learned, there were many, but some of the lessons learned are, as you've seen and I mentioned before. So there's a huge interest of hubs once they realize the huge potential that they have in their new collaboration. There's a huge interest of enhancing their capacities with different types of collaboration. It's also been seen that that is not up to now totally covered with those projects, R&D projects that we know. So there's a need of bringing up some new type of maybe helping those hubs to make this big jump for them, because the new collaborations would need additional cost or investment. And it also helped us understand that the AI technology level in different areas is very diverse, and the need of collaboration among them is crucial sometimes for some SMEs that necessarily do not have locally the best solution for them, but locally should have the ones that know them best. So that could be a great asset for them if those guys can help them collaborate with other hubs and jointly get this solution. So as said, resources solution is one of the problems. Also skilled people, but that can be also enhanced with the network. We need also to create a more clearer network and also help hubs work. I think we have a bigger challenge now with the COVID, but I also see that all of us are looking for new solutions, and some of them, even when COVID goes over, hopefully soon, I think they will stay. And for hubs, I think that that would be great asset, because it will help many of them to get into new let's say training or into interactions without high cost. That is one of the problems right now. So thank you very much.